Hello, everyone, and welcome to Stamford County's live webinar on direct mail marketing for small business and integration with digital technologies. I'm Bob Hogan, the webinar coordinator today and a business mentor here at Stamford County. And I'm going to be your host today, and our presenters are David Stowe and Erica Switzer. More on Dave and Erica in just a minute, but first some brief information on SCORE. SCORE is a national partner of the SBA. And Dave, if I could ask you to move the slide, please. And locally here in Stamford County, we have about 130 volunteers with a wide range of industry, process, and subject matter expertise. And we offer three primary value-added services to small business owners. First of all, we offer free one-on-one counseling, and you can access that by face-to-face, video, telephone, or email. And you can do that by using the yellow bit.ly link that you see here on the screen, or you can go to our website, fairfieldcounty.score.org, and click on the Request a Mentor link. Secondly, we offer a wide range of educational workshops like the one we're having today. And lastly, we offer extensive resources on our website, including access to subject matter experts. Our next live webinar is going to be tomorrow, Wednesday, May 19th at noon. And the topic is Running a Successful Business, What Really Matters, with Belinda Wasser presenting. And again, you can find more specifics on that webinar on our website, fairfieldcounty.score.org. And if you're on our website, you'll also be able to access a large number of archived webinars on a wide range of business topics as well. Just some logistics on our event today. We have set aside time for Q&A. David is going to take some questions at the end of his, and then we'll take questions also at the end from both Dave and Erica. To access that, please use the Q&A button. You can access it by hovering on the bottom of your screen and just click on the Q&A and type your question in, and you can do that at any time during the presentation. We will end at 1 o'clock sharp to respect your time today, and the session is being recorded, and you'll be able to access the recording within the next day or two on our website, fairfieldcounty.score.org. It's now my pleasure to introduce our speakers today. David Stowe is Vice President of Business Development and Marketing for AlphaGraphics in Stamford, Connecticut. Dave has over 2 decades of experience developing and implementing print, direct mail, and graphics projects to help clients promote and grow their businesses. Prior to joining AlphaGraphics, David ran the everyday operations of D&M Press for over 10 years. Dave holds a law degree from Hofstra University and serves on numerous nonprofit boards and is a nonprofit founder himself. Erica Switzer is Chief Revenue Officer of Direct Mail 2.0, a direct mail technology platform that couples traditional marketing with cutting-edge online marketing. She's been in direct mail marketing industry for over 17 years, helping thousands of clients implement effective marketing strategies. She's a seasoned speaker, having been a keynote for industry-related conferences and events such as AIM, National Postal Forum, Market Edge, Mailcom, Postal Vision 2020, Girls Who Print, and others. Dave and Erica, it's all yours. You'll have to unmute, Dave.
There we go. Okay. Thank you, Bob, and welcome everyone. So I'm going to start by laying a foundation and giving you some basic information on direct mail. And then Erica will come in and talk to you about how we now integrate digital technologies with direct mail. So starting with direct mail, it's important to know that direct mail is a crucial and indispensable tool for any business or organization. And there are many variables to really understand in order to be able to effectively implement direct mail campaigns. All right, hold on. Okay, so why should you use direct mail for your business? Well, first, direct mail is credible. Good direct mail pieces help cut through noise, they capture attention, and they compel the recipient to some form of action. And really, with any piece of marketing, that is what you really want to do, is have a call to action and then have people actually execute on that call to action. So direct mail's effectiveness runs very deep. It is one of the most credible forms of outreach, and it's a channel that consumers trust more than almost any other. Direct mail is also extremely persuasive. So in crowded fields, good marketing can have a big impact. In surveys of companies that regularly use direct mail, a high percentage say that direct mail pieces result directly in people making a purchase of their products or services. Direct mail is also extremely impactful. The information in your direct mailing goes a long way. 86% of consumers check their mailboxes at least 5 times per week, and 79% of the heads of households sort through mail as their first opportunity. Unlike a 30-second TV spot, mail lingers. It's placed in the kitchen table, on desks and on counters, and it's ready to be picked up and read again. And yes, this includes millennials as well. While they are more mobile than older consumers and integrate more with technology, they are sufficiently anchored to an address, and 79% check their mailbox at least 5 times a week. 66% do so daily, according to a recent USPS survey on direct mail. Furthermore, the same survey found that for millennials, mail is more important than email, and equally important as online ads. And because we know that direct mail has a longer connection with the recipient's brain than digital advertisements, we can start to see the impact of budgeting for direct mail in your marketing. So there are a number of things to really know about direct mail. One is knowing the different size classifications of mail. Another is the service level delivery system, what levels of delivery there are. Should you be using stamps? Should you not? How lists are processed, how you actually source and generate your lists, and choosing a vendor to work with. So the first thing we'll cover here is mail piece sizes. So mail pieces generally come in 3 basic sizes. One is a postcard, one is a letter, and one is a flat. A postcard does not necessarily mean something that you would normally associate as a postcard, but rather simply a mail piece that is up to 4¼ inches on its small dimension and 6 inches on its larger dimension. Likewise, a letter size piece is not describing a letter as you traditionally think of it, but more a size of a piece, which has 6 1/8 inches as its small dimension as a maximum, and 11½ inches on its long dimension as a maximum. Many items that you would normally think of as a postcard fall into this category, such as 5x7, 6x9, or 6x11 postcards are all common card sizes, but they would qualify as letters for classifications with the United States Postal Service. And the final size category is what's called a flat. That covers anything where the small dimension exceeds 6 1/8 and the large dimension exceeds 11 and a half. There are some exceptionally large pieces which do not fit into any of these classifications, but those are very rare. So the size of your mail piece impacts the project in 2 ways. The smaller the piece, the cheaper that it will be to cost to print. That said, until you start to get into larger quantities, the differences are really not that hugely significant. The big component that is impacted by the size of your piece is that it determines the postage rate. Each size classification carries with it different postage rates, and depending on the piece, there can be significant postage differences if you were comparing postage costs for a letter versus a flat rate size piece. Postage generally is also the largest component cost of a mailing, unless we're talking about a complicated mailer with lots of components. So and now as we move on to the levels of service, there are generally 2 main delivery service levels with the United States Postal Service. One is first class and the other is standard. The other thing to consider is that mail can go out as single pieces or in small batches. These would require the application of live stamps or having the mail metered. This is generally not how you would be doing some form of a business or organizational large outreach. Bulk mail is something that you would be using for that. So bulk mail requires a postal permit to be held by the entity that is doing the mailing. That means the mail house or the printer needs to have a bulk permit, not you, the person or your organization or business that would be sending out the mail. A business does not need to have this, but they need to make sure that they're working with someone who does. Bulk mail pieces generally have the permit information printed directly on the mail piece, and this is commonly known as the indicia, and it's generally what you will see in the top right corner of a mail panel of a direct mail piece. First class mail has a higher level of service, and on average will be received anywhere in the country in 1 to 4 days. There's also a 500-piece minimum threshold to qualify for first class bulk mail. Standard mail is a lower level of service than first class, and on average, standard mail is generally received anywhere from 3 to 14 days. Geography also plays a big role in this timing, as locations on the other side of the country can take up to 2 weeks. However, local delivery times are generally 3 to 5 days. And if you're doing a mailer for your business, a standard mail is an excellent choice. In general, first-class mail is unnecessary and a waste of budget unless it's a last-minute project or you're trying to really coordinate mail receipt dates down to a science. Then there's also nonprofit mail, and that's a discounted version of standard mail. It's available to organizations that are incorporated as nonprofits. If an organization is certified as a nonprofit by the IRS, then they can apply to the United States Postal Service for nonprofit authorization to mail at nonprofit rates. This is a simple process that's really just a one-page form with a few supporting documents. Postage, not printing, has the largest impact on your direct mail budgets. Size of the mail piece and class of postage are what determine your postage costs. Postage size pieces up to 4 1/4 by 6 get special discounted rates for first class. Postcard size pieces, however, get the same rates as letter size pieces for standard mail. Flat size pieces have higher postage rates than letter size for both first class and standard. Now, bulk mail does allow you to enjoy some significant discounts. In looking at a standard mail piece, if you were going to take one piece and send it out first class with a stamp, that would cost 55 cents. When you send a letter size piece first class bulk, that would generally come under 40 cents each. And if you are sending it standard rate, then that would somewhere be around 29 cents. Also, you can never know exact postage until your list is processed at the time of mailing. And depending on how your list sorts and how dense your geography is, there can also be some other discounts that can be realized. And for standard mail, you can get rates down to even under 20 cents in some instances. Another consideration is whether to use live stamps or not. So in general, using stamps, especially for large volumes of mail, is an expensive proposition as you're paying full price on postage for every piece. That said, all stamps are not the same. Live stamps, which is one that you would buy at the post office or online, cost 55 cents for a standard stamp and will send a letter of 1 ounce or less anywhere in the country. Note that live stamps will only cover the first ounce. For weights over that, you need to add additional postage. Bulk mail, however, allows for weights greater than that before there is a cost increase. So people will often use stamps in lieu of bulk mail, as stamps on balance do get slightly higher response rates. People will often see a stamp and think that the piece is more important or personalized, and thus will interact with it for a little longer. That said, there is also a cost-benefit analysis to be done here, and very often an increase in response rate of 1 or 2% is not necessarily outweighing the increased cost of postage if you're using a live stamp. As an example, let's look at a 2,000-piece letter size mailer. If you were to use stamps, your postage cost would be about $1,100. But if you went with bulk standard rate mail, then your postage costs would max out about $580 and likely less. This is a big savings and one in which you could outweigh a small increase in the response rate. There are also, however, stamps that you can use with bulk mail. And these are called pre-canceled stamps, and they give you the best of both worlds. They allow for both bulk mail discounts and also the benefits of the increased response rates that generally are associated with using stamps. So another thing that's important is the list processing and how you go about that. So the way a list is processed has a big impact on postage costs as well as delivery times. Standard bulk processing will get standard bulk mail discounts on postage. However, there are a few things in basic processing that can impact both the cost and delivery times. Where the mail is dropped will also have an impact on postage cost as well as delivery times. Most local post offices are the last point of contact for the mail that is being delivered, and also the first point of contact for mail entering the mail stream. However, dropping mail, bulk mail, at the business mail unit of a local post office will actually result in the smallest bulk discounts, while dropping mail at major sorting facilities will result in higher postage discounts. This is an important consideration when selecting a vendor. So you want to know where the vendor that you're working with, how they process mail, and where they drop their bulk mail. There's also additional processing that can be done to significantly lower postage costs. This is very pertinent to direct mail, where generally the mail is going to a very concentrated area in geographic location. Once mail reaches a certain level of concentration on a mail route, more discounts kick in. This type of processing is called walk sequence processing. While vendors will charge more for this type of processing, it's also more labor intensive and for mail preparation, and that cost generally outweighed by the benefit of the superior postage discounts. As an example, if we look back at that 2,000 piece mailing of a letter size piece, with standard processing, the estimated postage was about $580. But if processed with walk sequence processing and it's in a concentrated geographic area, that postage can come down to $380. When you're dealing with larger volume mailings, that savings are quite substantial. So another really important consideration is choosing the vendor that you're going to work with, and also choosing the lists. So in choosing the lists, there's a number of ways to source those. One, you might maintain a list of your own clients, of good prospects. That's probably going to get you the best response rates because they're pre-qualified. We can also get lists sourced for you based on demographics. So if you want to hit all men or all women, or if you're looking for families with children, or houses that have a certain value, or the household has a certain annual income, all these things can dial into the demographics that you were looking to hit and really help to source a list. One other way that you can actually use a list is you can mail without a list. It's called Every Door Direct Mail. This is a program from the United States Postal Service, which allows you to use density of geography to realize discounts. What that means is you can select individual postage routes. So for instance, if you're a restaurant and you wanted to be able to market to all of the surrounding neighborhoods, there's actually an online map tool that you can go to. You can select all the mail routes surrounding your particular restaurant area and then mail to all those people. So postage rates can get down into like 17, 18 cents for that. The only requirement though is that you mail to everyone that's on that mail route. And also the mail is then not addressed. It simply goes to postal customer, and you do not need to source a mail list for that. Another very important thing is choosing a vendor. So a good starting point for choosing a vendor would be to talk to experienced users of direct mail that you trust, local business owners, chambers of commerce. Ask them who they recommend and why. You definitely do not want to randomly reach out to just anyone, as all vendors are most certainly not created equal. And this is even more so when it comes to more complicated projects. Things that you should consider in using a vendor is someone who has all of their services under one roof. Maybe you know a good printer who does not have in-house mailing services, or maybe you know a mail house who does not print. Time is lost when dealing with multiple vendors when it comes to communication. You also lose time moving the printed pieces from a printer to a mail house. Generally, unless quantities are very high, a mailer should be in the mail within a week from the time that proofs are approved. Additionally, anyone who does not have these services under one roof is not going to have the overall expertise that you want to rely on. Some good questions to ask of any vendor that you are considering working with should include, what is your experience in working with direct mail? Do you do all of the work in-house? What type of USPS mailing facility do you drop your bulk mail at? Do you ever walk sequence process mail? And can you provide references of past direct mail clients? And that kind of wraps up a broad overview of direct mail from me. So as we change over to Erica, if anyone has any questions, happy to take them right now.
Yeah, that's great. We do have a few questions, but just as a reminder, if you've got a couple of questions for Dave, you can type them in using the Q&A button on your screen. And Dave, maybe you can just turn your camera on here and we'll answer a couple of questions.
Yes, absolutely. There we go.
We have the first question is, and you touched on this briefly, but maybe you can elaborate on, because the question is, how do I start sending nonprofit email or nonprofit mail?
Okay, so the first thing would be, are you a nonprofit? If you are a nonprofit, that's nonprofit that's determined by the IRS, that does not automatically allow you to simply mail at nonprofit rates. So what you need to do, there's a one-page form that you fill out, and I'd be happy to share it with anyone. You can reach out to me via email. That you fill out, and it generally will ask for a few documents. One would be your IRS determination letter that you're a nonprofit, and some proof of address where you're going to mail to. Once you have that, what that does, it allows you to mail at nonprofit rates. You do not need to have a permit of any kind. All you need to do is the post office will give you what's called a nonprofit authorization number. So any printer or mailer who you're going to be working with will need that to fill out the paperwork so that you are entitled to the discounted postal rates. And again, I'm happy to help anyone get set up as nonprofit in the postal system if you need that help. And hopefully that answers your question. And then once you have that approval, it's no different than sending any other kind of mail piece. It basically is just the indicia that's on there that's linked to the paperwork that we submit to the post office when we drop the bulk mail at the post office.
That's great. I think that's very helpful. Couple questions from Larry. The first one is, we are sending out 1 to 10 first-class mail most every day in a number 10 envelope with cost between 55 and 85 cents per piece, non-automated. And is there a better way or class to mail our envelopes?
So if you're just sending out 1 to 10 pieces a day, that's something that, as I briefly touched on, that has to go either as metered mail or as live stamps. And then also 55 cents with a live stamp like that will cover up to your first ounce. And then, as it sounds like he's doing, you need to add additional postage if the weight comes up a little higher. Or it could be that he's sending a flat rate piece, which also requires additional postage. The only way that you can start to realize bulk mail discounts would be if you consolidated those. Maybe if you're doing 10 a day and you waited a few weeks and you sent out, so for standard mail, standard bulk mail, the threshold is 200 pieces. For standard first class, it's 500 pieces. So if you were able to consolidate 200 plus pieces, then you can send out at standard mail rates, in which case your postage would come down into somewhere in the 20s, depending on how your list would sort.
Okay, very helpful. And then a follow-up question on how do pre-canceled stamps work?
So pre-canceled stamps are a tool to be used with bulk mail. So what happens is pre-canceled stamps essentially only have a minimum value of 1 to 2 cents each. And what happens is, instead of printing an indicia on the mail piece when we would do a bulk mailing, we would note on the paperwork that we are using pre-canceled stamps, and all the indicia and account information is included on the paperwork that's submitted to the post office. And then by using those pre-canceled stamps, you're sending a bulk mailing that then entitles you to the bulk mail rate. You can't simply take a pre-canceled stamp, stick it on an envelope, and put it in the mail. It's got to be as part of a bulk mailing.
Okay, I think that's fairly clear. And we'll take one last one from Pauline. How do you start mailing with EDDM? I'm assuming you know what that is.
Yeah, so EDDM is Every Door Direct Mail, which is a program through the post office that I briefly touched on. It's a form of bulk mail. And the best way to do it would be, one, to find a good vendor that you're comfortable with that has experience in working with EDDM mailings. And then what you should be doing, and your vendor should be working with you to go through, there's an interactive postal map that's on the USPS website. And you can go in, you can type in your social security number, your zip code, sorry. And then that'll show you a map with all the mail routes in that zip code. And then you can individually select all those mail routes, get to a volume that you're comfortable with and a geographic spread that you want. And then what you would do is you would have the mail pieces printed with information similar to an indicia, but that would be for an EDDM piece. And then you would be sending out those EDDM pieces. One other caveat with EDDM is that the size of the piece needs to qualify as a flat. So what we generally do, if people are looking to be economical with that, so you can maximize both the benefit of the really significant postage discounts but yet not pay too much more for your printing, is because the size threshold is generally like 6 1/8 on the small dimension. We'll print postcards at that size that are 6.5 by 9 inches instead of like 6 by 9, which is a conventional normal size for a letter rate. So that gets us into the flat rate, which is what you must qualify for EDDM.
Okay, that's perfect. We'll have another chance to take questions at the end, but right now we're going to turn it over to Erica to talk about how we can combine direct mail with some online marketing. Erica.
Thank you very much, Bob, and great information, David. Thank you for sharing. My name is Erica Switzer. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer at Direct Mail 2.0, and I'm going to talk to you guys today about how to increase your direct mail response by an average of 24 to 46% by utilizing digital in conjunction with your direct mail. So we'll go ahead and get started on that. I do want to lay the foundation a little bit with consumer behavior and business practices on how this works. So the average business utilizes more than 4 different marketing channels, and you may find this to be the way that you operate right now. Do you use direct mail, email, or do you have a social media presence? Are you doing search engine optimization? Any signage on your physical location? These are all marketing channels, right? To let people know who you are, who your business is, and what it does. This is called multi-channel marketing. And there's a very big difference between multi-channel marketing and omni-channel marketing. Multi-channel marketing is hitting different audiences through different channels. And a lot of times your message changes with each channel that you utilize. You may say one thing through email and another thing through direct mail, and something else on social media. So your design changes, your message changes, but you're utilizing all of these different channels to promote your business. Omni-channel marketing is targeting the same audience with the same message across multiple channels. So let's see some examples of this. Starbucks uses a multi-channel marketing approach. So we all know it's Starbucks, they're branded very well, but they change their message and they change their audience with each of their channels. That's the way that they choose to approach their marketing. Then you have the omni-channel marketing approach, which is one of my favorite companies, Geico, as an example, right? 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. We know this tagline. We've seen it everywhere: billboards, TV, direct mail, online advertising. This is the omni-channel marketing approach, remaining consistent with your message across multiple channels to the same audience, okay? The reason why omni-channel marketing is so effective is because the average person sees about 2,900 marketing messages per day. I know that might seem pretty alarming, but if you really think about it, through digital advertising, scrolling through your social media, watching television, driving past billboards, even the logos and brands that we see on shirts and promotional items, we are exposed to a lot of different marketing messages every single day. And so how do we cut through that noise? How are our business names and offerings actually seen and heard and acted upon? You can't just hit one person one time and expect it to have a massive impact because of this consumer behavior. Also, it's important to note that 80% of sales are made between the 8th and the 12th contact. So if you're not touching the same individuals within your niche market or your niche demographic at least 8 to 12 times, then you're really leaving money on the table. And if you're jumping around with your marketing strategy, you could be wasting hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. And I go back to these big brands for a second, and I know you might be sitting here going, well, Erica, we're small businesses. Like, we don't have the marketing budget of Geico or McDonald's or Bed Bath & Beyond even, right? What I would say to you is that you probably don't have the niche market of those organizations either. It doesn't mean that we throw out the baby with the bathwater. We want you to be the Nike of your niche market. We want you to be the Geico of your niche market within your community. Okay. So we still need to follow those successful actions and what each and every one of these brands are doing and accomplishing, which is linking their name and their services to consumer demand through omni-channel marketing approach or a solid multi-channel marketing approach, where they are putting consistent messages out there to their niche markets. Now, there's been a battle here for several years and a massive shift of marketing budget from print to digital, right? So 10, 15 years ago, everybody was doing direct mail. Even if you take off your business hat for a second and you put on your consumer hat, when you were to walk down to your mailbox, you may have pulled out a huge stack of mail and then basically stood over your trash can and threw it away. Oh, this looks interesting. I'll save this, sorting through your mail, right? Well, now what do we do when we open up our laptops or our computers in the morning and we go into our email? We do the same thing, right? Click, 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 delete. We're sorting through our emails. So there's a digital fatigue or overload that's happening now that was happening about 10 to 15 years ago with print and the mailbox. And so what does that cause? That's actually caused a boomerang effect when it comes to the effectiveness of direct mail, where people may say print is dead, snail mail is not effective. It actually is. When we look at, in comparison to digital channels as standalone marketing channels, when you mail to a prospect list, which is your in-house list, think about your customers or your prospects, people who have opted in to receive communication from you. That's your house list. Your prospect list are demographics. You say, I want to target these homes in this area. They're not necessarily my customers, or you can get very, very niche with it. You can go after, age of home, home value, income, presence of children. There are several different categories and demographics that you can select from. So a prospect list gets about an average of a 5% response rate with direct mail, whereas a house list gets about a 9% response with direct mail. Either way, when you compare that to the response rates of email and paid search and social media and display ads, you're looking at exponentially higher response rates and therefore exponentially higher returns. Now, I know what you may be thinking at this point, Erica, email doesn't cost us as much as direct mail. Postage is expensive. I mean, David just went over all of the costs of postage, and it is expensive when you're comparing it to digital advertising. However, what we need to take into consideration when weighing, do we engage in digital marketing or do we engage in direct mail? We have to take response rates into consideration. You have to do 5 to 10 times the amount of digital marketing to get the same return as what you would get out of direct mail. So that has to factor into your process and your decision-making when you're developing your marketing strategy. And listen, I'm a small business owner too. My husband and I own a restaurant, and it has not been a fun past 18 months, right? So I get the pain when it comes to what do I put my marketing dollars into? But these are things that we really do need to be looking at in order to get the highest return on investment. So when we look at biggest business challenges, number one is seamlessly tracking campaign results, right? Direct mail is an offline marketing channel. It's not as easy to see where the results are coming from or how effective it is or prove return on investment. Like email, when you send out an email, you can look right in your Constant Contact or your MailChimp or whatever software you're using, and you can see X number of people opened it, X number of people clicked on it, so on and so forth. Okay, but with offline marketing channel, you can't really see that. So it's a big challenge to see if that return on investment is actually there. Also, getting enough exposure to maximize conversions. Remember that 8 to 12 touches, right? Another huge challenge is that 90% of people that are interested in what you have to offer will visit the website first before calling or visiting a brick and mortar location. So if you're utilizing 4 or more marketing channels to promote your business, all roads are leading to your website. That's really going to muddy the results. MIT did a study on this, and that is general consumer behavior. You are not going to change that. It's how people respond. And they're not going to landing pages. They're not going to personalized URLs. They are going up to their browser. They are typing in the name of your company and they are clicking enter. That's how people are navigating to your website. So if you're like, Erica, I use landing pages, I use pearls, I use QR codes. QR codes are making a huge comeback right now, but it's still only 18% of people that are responding are using QR codes. So it's really difficult. You might look at your Google Analytics and you may say, we have an increase in website response when we send out direct mail, but what is that really telling you? Not much, right? And you have 3 different kinds of people that are going to your website when they do go to your website. You have the people that will never buy from you at all. You have the people that are not ready to buy yet. They're just doing their due diligence. They're shopping. And then you have the people that are ready to buy right away, right? And according to Google Analytics, 96% of people are going to leave your website without taking any sort of an action. They're not going to fill out a form. They're not going to buy anything. They're not going to schedule an appointment, donate. They're not going to do what you want them to do. So now what? Does that mean that the direct mail didn't work? No, it just means that more effort is needed to get them to convert. And that brings me around to the importance of integrating digital with direct mail. Instead of having this battle of do I do direct mail or print advertising or do I do digital, when you combine them, that's when the magic starts to happen. When you create that omni-channel marketing approach, that's when you're really going to get the results that you're looking for. So I'm going to take you through some technologies and hopefully give you some takeaways for today on how digital can be integrated with direct mail. One of the things that you can do is called social match. That's where your mailing list that you're mailing to can be matched up with Facebook and Instagram accounts. And those individuals that are on your mailing list that are about to receive a direct mail piece in the mail, you can start showing ads to those individuals while your mail is in the mail stream. So David went over, first class mail takes about 1 to 3 days to reach mailboxes. Standard will take anywhere from 3 to 14 days to reach mailboxes or longer sometimes. So when you're doing social match and you're pre-targeting people on social media, you're bringing your company's name offering to top of mind awareness, whether they've done business with you before or not. You can create that brand recognition, put your business name to the forefront of their mind, and then they're more likely or inclined to act on the direct mail piece because it already looks familiar to them, okay? Another thing is mail tracking. You wanna make sure that you are tracking your mail. So whatever vendor you do utilize for your direct mail campaigns, ask them if they have mail tracking available. We all shop on Amazon, and Amazon tells us it's gonna be delivered Tuesday by 8 p.m., but we're still clicking on that link, right? That tracking link, and we wanna see that it's actually been shipped out and it's in transit, it's out for delivery, and we wanna see that picture of it on our front doorstep as confirmed delivered. You should have the same visibility into your direct mail, and that visibility is available right now, okay? And you can have a dashboard where you can see what's happening, when it's happening with your direct mail. This will also allow you to, if you are mailing to a house list, if you're mailing to your customers, you can see when that mail is going to reach mailboxes, and you can integrate email into that mailing. That's when the email is going to be effective. If they've seen you on social media, they received a direct mail piece from you, and now they're receiving an email from you. Well, now we have 3 or 4 different touches going on. So now we're starting to get some traction here, a lot more than just hitting them once. Informed delivery is another great way that you can integrate digital with direct mail. If you don't have informed delivery, I highly encourage you to sign up for it. Basically, as a consumer, you can check your direct mail digitally daily. The post office will send you an alert of what's coming to your mailbox that day. And you can check it. And believe it or not, about 68% of people that are signed up with informed delivery open their alerts or emails daily. And the overall open rate is upwards of 87%. Right now, there's about 37 million people signed up with informed delivery. Now, the cool thing that you can do with informed delivery too, as a business that is putting mail into the mail stream, is you can add a full color ride-along image to the grayscale image that is usually just comes up in informed delivery. So what people expect when they open up their USPS informed delivery alert is all of these grayscale images of their direct mail pieces. You can add on a full color ride-along with a URL where people can respond to your direct mail with the click of a button, okay? And for those flat pieces that David was talking about, those don't go through the USPS scanners. So therefore, they're not taking that grayscale image of that mail piece. You can do a representative image, which is this image all the way over to the right. You can do a representative image of that direct mail piece so that people know that that's coming to their mailbox and they can look out for it. And again, the reporting is amazing through informed delivery. You can definitely see how many people the alert was sent to, how many people opened it, how many people clicked on your URL with that ride-along ad to go through to your website. So again, that digital integration is super important and will increase the number of contacts and the overall effectiveness of your direct mail campaign. Tracking. So tracking is super important. If you're not utilizing call tracking numbers, you absolutely should for two reasons. Number one, you always want to be proving attribution back to your direct mail campaign or whatever campaign that you're utilizing for marketing. You want to attribute the results back to those marketing dollars. You also want to run quality control on whoever's answering the phones, making sure that they are doing their due diligence, right? And they're treating those new leads appropriately. You also want to make sure that you're not missing any calls, right? So call tracking is super important. And listen, nobody's programming your business number off of a direct mail piece, so you don't have to worry about that. They're going to wait until they get a hold of somebody before they're programming any phone numbers in their phone. Okay, so call tracking has been around for quite some time. And it's a tool that you should be utilizing. Online follow-up on the Google Display Network, or also known as Google Retargeting. This is another effective thing that you can do in conjunction with your direct mail. And that's because, like I said, 90% of people who are interested, they're going to the website. And then 96% of those people are going to leave without taking any sort of an action. When they leave, you want to make sure that you're re-engaging with them. I'm sure as consumers, you have all experienced this. You're looking for something, you're shopping online, you look at a product, all of a sudden it's following you around everywhere you go. Well, you should be doing that retargeting because it is hyper-focused, hyper-personalized to the people that are going to your website or going to the pages within your website, because all roads lead to the website from your direct mail campaign. You want to re-engage. You want to do the same re-engagement on social media. And with social media, it's not device specific, it's specific to the individual's profile. So if they go to your website on their laptop and then they log into their Facebook or their Instagram on their phone, they're still going to see your ad and it's going to populate over and over again. Again, making sure that you're getting to the H12 touches for them to take an action. Another technology that I want to talk about real quick is called Lead Match. And this is a brand new technology. You may have heard of it. You may not have, but basically the technology is being able to identify anonymous visitors who come to your website and identifying their postal address. This will accomplish two different things for you. The first thing that it will accomplish is matching those individuals that came to your website back to your mailing list. Okay, so if you mailed to John Smith at 123 Main Street and John Smith at 123 Main Street came to your website, you want to be able to attribute that visit back to the direct mail. We want to get that seamless tracking in. On the other end of it, you have traffic coming to your website all the time that you didn't mail to. There is nobody more qualified to send a direct mail piece to than somebody who just came to your website. And this is called direct mail retargeting, and it is the future of direct mail. Direct mail retargeting is sending custom mail pieces to customers or prospects who are engaging with an organization on a digital channel. You may have experienced this as a consumer. You may not have yet because it is brand new technology. But basically, if you're on a website looking at red sneakers, you may get a postcard in the mail 3 days later, 4 days later, with a coupon that says 25% off our new collection on these sneakers. And it's going to be personalized to you. Okay, micro-targeted based on actions taken. If you have an e-commerce site or you sell anything online, you can tailor your message towards people who put something in their shopping cart and then abandoned it versus people who are just browsing or considering, but not really adding anything to their shopping cart or checking out. And you want to make sure that if you do decide to utilize direct mail retargeting, that you give these people an offer that they can't refuse, right? These are people who raised their hand and said that they're interested in utilizing your products, your services. Okay, there is no mailing list out there that is going to be more qualified than those people. So you want to give them an offer that's above and beyond, and you want to give them an expiration date, a reason to act right now. Okay. And just so you know, average response rates on direct mail retargeting are ranging between 9 and 18%. It's pretty incredible. The industry is very excited about this strategy, and it is available cost effectively to small businesses. It's not just for the huge conglomerates. You guys can utilize this technology right now, and it is cost effective. We can thank digital printing for that. Printers don't have to use offset presses anymore. So it is very cost effective for you to do these hyper personalized campaigns. And just running through a couple of case studies on this, you know, we had an e-commerce site that utilized direct mail retargeting and got a 15.14% response rate and a 12.83% conversion rate from return visitors. That's pretty amazing. Had a university, small university in Illinois, utilized this. They got a 25% response rate on direct mail retargeting, and they utilized the integration that I went through today of, you know, informed delivery and the Google Display Network and social media for retargeting. And then a nonprofit organization, it was a church that was doing a fundraiser. They only got 5 calls from their campaign, but when they looked at this lead match technology for attribution purposes, they saw that 945 people out of their 38,000 list went to their website. And that was a lot more of a telling story as far as what the direct mail did for them, as opposed to 5 calls. 5 calls was pretty disappointing, right? But when you see that 945 individuals came to the site from the direct mail, that's pretty impressive. So it doesn't matter if you are doing multiple mailings or a one-time mailing, you want to use digital integration with it. And digital integration is so effective that even the post office is getting behind it. Right now, the emerging and advanced technology promotion is going on, which means that you can get up to 2% off your postage when you integrate emerging and advanced technologies with it. And then right after this promotion goes through August 31st. So any mailing that you have go out between now and August 31st, you can get up to 2% off postage. It's an upfront discount. It's not a rebate. And that helps to offset the cost of the digital integration. And I mean, postage is the most expensive thing, as we talked about. So it's a great incentive to mail. But starting September 1st and going through November 30th is the informed delivery discount as well. So really any mailings that you have going on between now and the end of November, you can get a 2% discount on if you integrate technology with it. And please, please remember that marketing is a marathon. It's not a sprint. You have to be dedicated to your strategy. Nothing is going to change overnight. It's not a get rich quick thing. You just need to remain consistent and push through it. The results are realized and built over time, and they will exponentially increase the more consistent you are with your messaging. So I hope you guys got some good takeaways from that. I'm available to answer questions now. And thank you so much, SCORE, for having me. I really appreciate it. I hope everybody got something out of the presentation.
That's great. And we do have some time for questions, and we've got a few in. So Erica, maybe you want to put your camera on, and we'll take as many as we can up until the top of the hour here.
Sure.
And just as a reminder, if you want to access it, just hover on the bottom of your screen and click on the Q&A button. And as I say, we'll take as many as we can. Our first one is from Kim. For online businesses that specialize in services like coaching, example, health and wellness coaching, professional business, personal development, etc., how do we leverage direct mail and digital, especially if our business is small and our budget is small scale compared to some of the large organizations?
Yeah, like I mentioned in the presentation, because of digital printing, it's cost effective to do short runs, right? So it's more important, not necessarily the volume that you're sending out, but the consistency that you're sending out in, right? And I'm sure David would agree. If you guys are going to do direct mail and you have a small niche market, let's say it's 500, individuals that fit your demographic, you should be mailing to those 500 individuals on a monthly or every 6-week basis and stay consistently in front of them while doing that digital integration. And that's what's going to get you a consistent stream of new partners or new clients. If you're not consistent and you're doing sporadic marketing, you're going to end up leaving money on the table and wasting money ultimately, because you may not get any result from doing it that way, especially with volumes so low.
Yep.
So
I would just add that a way to kind of be cost effective in that is to spend some extra time developing your mail universe, who you're going to be mailing to, where larger companies might kind of do a spray and pray where they're just trying to hit every demographic. Really know who your audience is, and then whether it's through developing your own lists or using someone to help you source a list based on those demographics, you can increase your response rates just by dialing in who you're mailing to. Great, I think that's some good advice there. We have one from Elizabeth now. Informed delivery and tracking seems labor intensive for a small business. Owners do so many things. How can they keep up? I think a lot of people on the webinar today might be able to identify with that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like I said, there are, and David even alluded to this too, there are vendors out there that do everything all under one roof, which also makes it super cost effective, right? Because your time is worth money. And if you can outsource that, then you're going to be more effective overall. As far as the cost goes, there are marketing campaigns that fit every budget. I mean, if you go to a vendor and say I only have $50 to spend on marketing, you may want to reevaluate your marketing budget then. But really, you should be looking at your gross revenue, and you should be putting anywhere from 8 to 15% of that into marketing. If you're looking to really grow your business and not just maintain, you should be putting anywhere from 8 to 15% of your gross revenue into marketing. And you should be dedicated to a marketing campaign anywhere from a minimum of 3 months, but more like 6 months to a year, in order to see the return on investment. And then every time you receive that return on investment, you want to again put 8 to 15% of that back into marketing. And then it just becomes like your mortgage or your electricity bill. Marketing should be just as important as those bills that you're trying to pay.
And just to add to that, these are not things that you would need to individually implement on your own. There's a lot of there are service bundles that places like myself have and other vendors have, that we do all of this for you. All you need to, it's no different than just saying, I would like to do a direct mailing, here's my mailing list. It's the same process. It's not you who would have to be doing these things. And all of these technology integrations have really robust dashboards and reporting. So you would get to see and take a look and analyze the data that you're getting back, but you don't really have to be doing any of the implementing yourself. That's what your vendors are for.
That's exactly it. And just to add one more thing to that, you know, printers, because the post office is offering discounts and postage promotions for this integration, you don't have to pay marketing agency pricing to get a vendor to do this for you. A lot of your printers do have this available and this integration available, you know, like David and other printers out there.
That's great. I think there's some good cost-effective advice there and some good guidelines on potential budgets. Here's a question from Larry. What are some organizations that can help you design and put together direct mail pieces, mail them for you, and conduct digital integration strategies that you mentioned? And I think that's right down the alley for both of you.
Yeah, well, I would say, to put a plug in for us at AlphaGraphics, we have full in-house capabilities for print, for direct mail, and for technology integration. So we can certainly help you for that. There are some other vendors out there, but there's not too many that do everything all under one roof. And as Eric and I were both alluding to several times, time is your most valuable asset that you have, and something you can never get back once you've lost it. So running back and forth between multiple vendors on a singular project is a really big waste of your time. So you want to be choosing vendors that have everything under one roof and have the experience to be able to execute all of it at once.
Right. It's like paying a GC versus being the GC yourself and paying all the subcontractors, right? It just as an example. If you're going to manage the full project through multiple vendors, not only are you going to waste time, but you're going to spend more money. So find a vendor that does this all under one roof. The USPS actually has a directory on their website of different vendors that offer digital integration. So that's a great resource. Any of your local postal reps are great resources. There is a small business team out there. And like I said, AlphaGraphics can definitely help you. They have everything under one roof as well.
Yeah, and as I mentioned in my presentation, I would ask other people that you know and trust in the business community that leverage direct mail and technology, or maybe people at, you know, the director of your local chambers of commerce, because also working local is also not a bad idea, because then it makes it much easier, especially if you wanted to deal with the graphic design and everything all together. You know, getting together in person, you know, we can certainly do things like Zoom like this, but it's really hard to replace that personal interaction and the collaboration that goes back and forth on a creative project like this.
Okay, we have another question from Kim. Do you recommend we do this every 2 to 3 months, consistent direct mail? And I think you've touched on that already. And is this different? Is it different with this offering of the integration with your with digital, or she's saying, or send similar mail like postcards multiple times? So there's a few different questions in there. I think you can also see them.
Yeah, so definitely, like I said, consistency every 4 to 6 weeks with your direct mail campaign for sure. You should be identifying your niche market and getting out consistent outflow to them with the digital integration at the time of mailing, and to supplement the time frame in between your mailings, right? So it's all kind of a package deal working together so that you can get those 8 to 12 touches to that audience consistently. But that's also the time frame, Kim, is also going to depend on your industry and your business model and what you're looking to achieve. So these are questions that you should definitely talk to your vendor about, because your vendors are going to have, you know, strategy consultation with you and discovery to see what the best marketing strategy is going to be for you.
Yeah, and just to quickly add to that, for instance, we have one client that's in the home services industry, and their prime season is spring through the fall, because most of their work takes place outside. So we run a postcard program for them where we do 6 mailings over the course of the year. and they generally start them in March, just as weather starts to change, to kind of get people conditioned to their brand and what they're offering. And then they run them every 6 weeks into the fall. And then they kind of take a breather from, October, from the cold season and the winter season when not doing as much work. And then they pick it back up again early in the spring. So again, as Erica said, it's knowing your own business, knowing what your sales cycles are, that has a big impact on how often and when you would do these things.
That's great. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for questions today. Just a reminder that the webinar has been recorded and the materials will be available within the next day or two on our website, fairfieldcounty.score.org. Our next live webinar is going to be tomorrow, Wednesday, May 19th at noon. And the topic is running a successful business, what really matters, with Belinda Wasser presenting. And again, if you'd like to take advantage of free individual counseling, you can go to our website and click on the Request a Mentor link. And if I could also ask you to please fill out your evaluations that have been sent at the end. They're very helpful to us going forward. So on behalf of SCORE, thanks everyone for attending our live webinar today. And a special thank you to David and Erica for their presentation. And stay well, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks,
Thank
Tom.
you, everyone. Thank you for having us.
And I put my email in the chat if anybody wanted to reach out with any questions.
That's great.